Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition Series. Now we will be on the Sun Belt Tournament as we continue through the Men's College Basketball Conference tournaments. We've done the NAC, the ASUN Horizon, Patriot, Big South, OVC, and MVC, and this is going to be the 8th of 32 shows. So after this, we're going to be a quarter of the way done. So like I said at the top, this is going to be the Sun Belt Conference. So now we'll go over the seedings. Your 1 seed with the record of 21-6 on the year, 12-3 in conference play, Texas State. Your 2 seed with a record of 18-13 on the year, 12-6 in conference play, Appalachian State. Your 3 seed with the record of 15-10 on the year, 9-5 in conference play, Georgia State. Your 4 seed with the record of 19-10 overall, 10-6 in conference play, Troy. 5 seed, South Alabama, 9-10 on the year, or 19-10, and 9-7 in conference play. Your 6 seed is Arkansas State, 17-10 on the year, 8-7 in conference play. Your 7 seed is Coastal Carolina, 16-12 on the year, 8-8 in conference play. Your 8 seed is Louisiana, 13-14 on the year, 8-9 in conference play. Your 9 seed is Texas Arlington, 11-17 on the year, 7-10 in conference play. Your 10 seed is Georgia Southern, 12-15 on the year, 5-11 in conference play. Your 11 seed is Louisiana Monroe, 13-17 on the year, 5-13 in conference play. And your 12 seed is Little Rock, 8-18 on the year, 3-11 in conference play. It's amazing how Little Rock could just be a one-hit wonder. Now you're back to the abyss. All right, so let's get going with this thing. The tournament's going to be held at the Pensacola Bay Center in Pensacola, Florida. Not a big arena. The tournament begins Thursday, March 3rd, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. 9 seed Texas Arlington, 8 seed Louisiana. Texas Arlington, they have a really good scorer in David Azori, averaging over 19 a game, almost 20 a game. 19.7 is the exact number. And Louisiana underachieved this season in my mind. They're led by Jordan Brown, who averages 15 a game. Projections, Louisiana by 8 5/8, total 136 9/10. As if it's not any shock, I have Louisiana advancing here. Second of 4 first-round games, 12 seed Little Rock, 5 seed South Alabama. Little Rock, very balanced roster. 5 guys averaging double digits per game, led by Nicola Marek with over 13 a game. And South Alabama, not a bad team. They have some good scorers in Charles Manning Jr. and J.J. Chandler, who both average over 15 a game. Projection, I have South Alabama by 8 3/8 in the total of 139 15/100. So therefore, I have South Alabama advancing. Third of 4 first-round games, 11 seed Louisiana Monroe and 6 seed Arkansas State. Young Monroe has one of the better scorers in the conference, and Andre Jones averaging over 15 a game. I feel like they've overachieved a little bit this season. And Arkansas State, always a middle team in this conference. They have one of the better scorers in the conference, and Norchado Meyer averaging over 17 a game. Projection, 8 5/8, total of 141 9/10. Therefore, I have Arkansas State advancing to the quarterfinal. And the last of 4 first-round matches, 10-seeded Georgia Southern and 7-seeded Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern, very balanced, but your typical bad team in the conference. Elijah McCadden averaging 11.6 points per game, and Andrei Savarsov, 10.7 points per game. Coastal Carolina, they're pretty well balanced. They have a good scorer in Vince Cole, averaging 15.4 points per game. Projection, Coastal by 5 5/8, total of 134. So therefore, I have Coastal Carolina advancing. All right, quarterfinals. So no more totals for the rest of the show because we can't project totals because we don't know what the scores are going to be in the previous matches. So it's easier to project lines rather than totals. So first of four quarterfinals, Friday, March 5th, starts at 12:30 Eastern Time. 8 seed Louisiana, 1 seed Texas State. Texas State, great year for them. Well-balanced team, 3 guys averaging double-digit points per game, led by Caleb Asbury with 13.7 a game. My projection is Texas State by 4 1/8, so therefore I have Texas State advancing. Second of four quarterfinal games, 5 seed South Alabama and 4 seed Troy. Troy felt like overachieved this season. They have one guy in double-digit points per game, and that is Afe Adiji, averaging 11.6 points per game. Projection here is South Alabama as a 3 7/8 favorite. So South Alabama, led by Manning and Chandler, good dynamic duo there, advances to the semifinal in this projection. Third of four quarterfinal matches, 6 seed Arkansas State and 3 seed Georgia State. Georgia State's a perennial contender in this conference. Their old coach had a neat story with his son hitting the game-winning shot in the tournament, and the father, who was the coach, fell off the chair. Ron Hunter. So Georgia State I projected as a 2 7/8 favorite over Arkansas State. As Georgia State has 3 players averaging double figures per game, led by Corey Allen, averaging 13.5 per game. So therefore I have Georgia State advancing. In the final of the quarterfinal game, 7 seed Coastal Carolina and 2 seeded App State. App State, pretty good year this year. They've won the better scores in the country with Adrian Delph averaging over 17 a game. My projection here is App State by 3, so therefore I have App State advancing to the semifinals. All right, Saturday, March 6th, semifinals. Sunday, March 6th. My bad. The Saturday's the 5th. So South Alabama and Texas State, 5 versus 1 from the Pensacola Bay Center. Both pretty solid teams. We talked about South Alabama and their nice duo. Texas State has a nice trio, and I think they have more depth. I project them as a 2 5/8 favorite over South Alabama, so therefore I have Texas State in the championship match. In the second of 2 semifinals, 3 seeded Georgia State and 2 seeded App State. App State probably has the best scorer on the court here in Delph. Georgia State, very well balanced. They have good guard play, and I think that usually prevails in March. And I project Georgia State as a 1.5 point favorite, so therefore I have Georgia State in the championship. So the championship, I have 3 seed Georgia State, 1 seed Texas State. 2 solid teams from this conference. State has some balance. Texas State, and so does Georgia State. But I feel that the best player on the court in this game is going to be Asbury of Texas State. Projection is Texas State 1.5, so therefore I have going to the big dance from the Sun Belt Conference, the Texas State Bobcats, as they'll be dancing in March. Last year it was App State, so they're good for the second year in a row. Obviously, COVID canceled the 2020 tournament as their last day was March 11th. It would have been Little Rock, Georgia Southern, and South Alabama, Texas State in the semis. 3 years ago, it was Georgia State with Ron Hunter. And same with 18. So Georgia State's been the perennial team. Troy won in 17. So it'd be good to see a different team in Texas State potentially win this tournament this season. And some odds courtesy of FanDuel for this tournament. So Georgia State's actually favored at plus 270, amazingly enough. Texas State plus 430, USA's plus 410. But if I had to go with a greater than 5-1 shot on the board. App State at 6-1 is interesting. I really like Delph as a scorer. And I think that team has the experience from last year. And South Alabama is a little interesting at plus 410, but I think they're overvalued. So if I had to go with the greater than 5-1 selection, it'd be App State at 6-1 as like a value pick. But my pick to win this tournament is Texas State plus 430. I really like that play a lot, and I think that's value for Texas State as a number in terms of odds to win their conference tournament. Alrighty, next up to preview and predict. So we're a quarter of the way through, and coming up next will be the West Coast Conference tournament. So that should be a really, really fun one to cover.